All right, guys, this is Donnie.
And Sandra.
And we are in Polk County, North Carolina, and we are staying at First Real Estate. Am I saying that right?
First Real Estate. First
Real Estate. This is a boondock. That means we are not hooked up to anything. We are what you call dry camping. The motorhome being self-contained has everything we need to survive the night. And so, but if you're a fellow RVer and you're looking for places to stay, check out Harvest Host. And they got a lot of boondocking places, stores, businesses, and stuff like that. And they a safer place to stay than just picking a parking lot somewhere and staying at it. And so, but check them out. That's how we got to where we are at. But we are attempting to stay one night in all 100 counties in North Carolina. This makes the 40th county that we have been at. And we share the fun facts and reviews about where we stay at. So be sure and check out those if you have not seen them. And one of the things I also like to do is check out urban legends and ghost stories. And so at first, the first one that I was able to locate one, and that was the Wang Doodle. The Wang Doodle. So check out the Wang Doodle and you'll check out that. It's more of an urban legend. And what I did is at the end of going through that and doing the research on that, I just on a whim decided to see if there was anything else. And that's where I located this one. This is another urban legend, and Sandra has not heard anything about this one. And so, at least I don't believe I have told you this one.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
And so, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, it's really, guys, I had to really hunt for information on this one, but I'm going to give you a source that I gleaned information from that I think you guys will find interesting. And I'll talk about them in just a minute. But this one here is called Witch Anne, or The Legend of Witch Anne. Witch Anne. Now, there was a book written by M. Willard Pace, and it was called Witch Anne. And so, now this is also called Witch Anne of Wildcat Spur. And so that's what the urban legend is also called. But the book that Mr. Pace wrote was called Witch Anne. And so if you'll notice on the screen, I'll have a picture of that book show up. And so what I'm going to relate to you is pretty much what he relates from oral traditions that has been handed down. And from what I understand, that's how he got this information that I'm fixing to share with you. And so, it goes like this. And again, this is just a synopsis. This is a synopsis of what the story, how the whole urban legend goes. It's about a woman by the name of Ann Shepherd, who lived many years ago in a shingle-covered shanty in the northern edge of Polk County, in the foothills of North Carolina. Now, she was perceived by many in the region to be a witch. She is portrayed in this story as being born to Sally and P.D. Biddy on the night of Halloween. That's when she was born. And that was in 1844 in Wildcat Spur. That's when she experienced her very first tragedy because her mom died. She died, and her mom died in childbirth. And so she never got a chance to meet her mom, and so that was her very first tragedy. Now, she had a great aunt, or aunt, however you want to say it, named Issa, or it's I-S-A. Issa. It's Issa. I'm going to say Issa Buddy, or Issa Biddy, excuse me. In the information that I got, I think it's just a misprint, because her dad was P.D. Biddy. And so the I and the U on the keyboard is side by side. So I actually think her last name should have been called Biddy, Issa Biddy. But anyway, she moved in with Ann and her father. And she did her best to fill in the void left by the loss of the mother. She loved her as her very own and taught her all the things that any good mother would have taught her child. When she was a child, she had a black cat that followed her all around. At this time, she was bitten by a rattlesnake and was taken by her father to a Native American woman. I had her name at one point in time. I don't know why I'm thinking it's Ottawa or something like that. I could be completely wrong, but it seems like it's Ottawa. So anyway, it was a Native American woman who was known as an herbalist, and she saved Anne's life, believe it or not, by using the things that she knew about herbalism. And many people in her family died while Anne was very young. Her mother at childbirth, her great aunt, Isa, and her stepmother, whom she was very close to. From what I understand, she died in a wagon accident. And her in-laws from a marriage to John Shepherd, that's where she got her last name, Shepherd, Anne Shepherd. She was married to John Shepherd. The in-laws died while she was in her early 20s. Early 20s. So all these people around her died. So you can see where this
she has a curse.
She had a curse. These people started thinking about that. But it was during that time when her stepmother died, Anne began to believe she was cursed. She started believing it. And during the Civil War, her husband John was out fighting, and Anne and her father was left alone. They had to live alone. Well, her father later was murdered by a deserter hiding in the woods. So he died. So now she's completely alone. And from what I understand, her house that she lived in was way, way out in the middle of nowhere. So you got this woman, everybody around her died, and she's out there living all by herself. So you start to get that little, people start to talk and gossip starts to run rampant and stuff like that. Well, at any rate, a young boy was cutting down a tree in the community. Now, this was nowhere near where Anne was at. He was cutting a tree in the community, and the tree fell on him and killed him. The father, was named Mr. Ruff, blamed it on Anne, saying that she used witchcraft on the boy. A fellow by the name of Eli Bailey, the only one in the community, defended Anne, saying that she was innocent of the accusation, and the boy's father shot Eli and killed him.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that something? And so Anne at this time was living alone in the remote location, was known as a herbalist herself. She took interest in it after the snake bite incident, which I would too, and learned many of the things from the Native American woman. Supposedly, Anne even was able to cure her father, P.D. Biddy, from pneumonia. And people began coming to Anne for help, and she was able to help them. Every time Anne attempts to clear her name of this young boy that gets killed and the other accusations that was made against her, it always backfires and is not successful. Being frustrated and very angry by the false accusations, Anne tells somebody in the community she'll give them a reason to call her Witch Anne. Anne attempts to tell the family of Eli Bailey that he was murdered by the boy's father and was not believed and accused of killing Eli. They also did not believe Eli stood up for Anne. And so that's the family of Eli said, that's hogwash. He wouldn't stand up for you. So word starts to spread in the community that Eli Bailey is riding in the countryside on a black stallion shouting that he was murdered by Witch Anne. In actuality, this is where the twist is. In actuality, the ghost was not a ghost at all, but was Anne herself disguised, riding on her own horse, warning people to stay away from her and her cabin because she was a witch. She did this because it was the only line of defense for her and her property, by putting the fear in people. Just like when you and I, we were talking about, certain areas. Well, Cleveland County, for instance, they have the
Nobby.
the Nobby. The Nobby. Well, the moonshiners started that local legend saying that it was Bigfoot way back in the day, so to keep people away from their moonshine stills that they were running illegally. And so, same type of thing here. She starts doing this to scare people, and they'll stay away from her.
It's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and so, well, at any rate, she disguised, and she was using a device that her father had built, something like a bullhorn, and she would actually yell into it, so it made it even. It's like a megaphone, and she would holler into it, and it would scare the people. Her reputation was already ruined by false accusations, so she attempted to use it to her advantage to keep people away. That's what she tried to do. And at this time, attempted to confront Mr. Ruff about the killing of Eli Bailey. And when she got to his cabin, the cabin had been burned down. And then returned to her home and stayed secluded from the rest of the world, or rest of everybody else, until she died. And so she just became, that just became her little area up there. And so,
she was a recluse.
There's not much, I got down here in my notes, there's not much actual documentation to collaborate everything, but enough to back up the story that was orally passed down. And so Mr. Pace used the story that was orally passed down. And you know how some things can get added to stories, but supposedly what I just told you was the closest thing to the oral traditions that was around. I tell you what, it'd be a darn good movie.
It would be a good movie.
It would be a darn good movie. Somebody would make a movie about this. And so, but guys, that is it of the story of Witch Anne, or the legend of Witch Anne, or the Witch Anne of Wildcat Spur. And so now I want to introduce you to, if you go, there's a podcast. They are on YouTube. It's called Arcane Carolinas. Arcane Carolinas. That's ARCANE CAROLINAS. It's Arcane Carolinas. Go to their YouTube. I'll tell you what I'll do is I will have a link in the description to their podcast on YouTube. And guys, they did a really good job. Most of the information that I got from this story here, about this story here, came from these gentlemen here. They did an outstanding job. I think they do great research. I haven't listened to the rest of their stuff. I do plan on it, but they do stuff that has to do with the Carolinas. I get spooky stories in general, urban legends and stuff like that. They center on that, on the Carolinas. And so also, please check out that book, also by M. Willard Pace, called Witch Anne. It sounds like it would be an outstanding read. And I will say this, the book, when I was looking to get information about the book, the prices can jump. I saw prices jump from a few dollars to like $40. And so be real cautious, guys, where you're buying this. I know on Amazon, they're notorious for having people selling books that at exorbitant prices. And so be careful. If you're paying $20 and $30 and $40 a book, I would really try to get you a second price quote on that. You're probably paying too much. And so, but other than that, it does sound like it would be an outstanding read, and it sounds like it would be an outstanding movie. And so, other than that, I did find an actual article about the book at the Tryon Daily Bulletin, and so that was back. It was back April 20th of 2011, and so. For what it's worth, you can find an article about the book that's in there. And so they question whether Anne was really a witch, or was she just a woman that just a victim of circumstance. And so it sounds like to me she was a victim of circumstance that used the accusation to kind of keep people away from her. Now I'll tell you right now, she took a chance.
Yeah, because they could have pitchforks and
yeah, because during this time, we're talking the 1800s
yeah,
now.
Torches and pitchforks.
Yeah, but during the 1800s, well, I mean, we're talking about a time where people are very superstitious.
Mm-hmm.
And, people are superstitious today.
They could have burned her at the stake.
They could have grabbed her and burned her at the stake.
Mm-hmm.
And so she took a real chance by doing this. But it seemed to work, and everybody just left her alone. Other than that, guys, that's going to be it. And for Witch Ann. And so again, please check out my playlist, and you'll find others that we have done. This is the 40th county that we've been in. And so hopefully at the time of this recording, we hope by March of 2024, we hope to have 50 counties done. And maybe we'll have a few more done by then. But there's 100 counties in North Carolina, and doggone it, we're going to try to stay at least one night in every single one of them bad boys. But you guys take care, and we'll talk at you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.